Hey everyone, Alex here from ornamentdesigns.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a swirl Kimekomi ornament. The first thing you'll need to do is divide your ball into 6 equal sections. Mark your 6 points along the equator of your ball, but we're just going to mark the points. We're not going to draw vertical lines. If you don't know how to mark these points, I have another video. I'll put an annotation up here with a link to that video of how to mark these points. Okay, now that you're done marking all your points on the equator, you'll mark the halfway point between your North Pole and each of the 6 points on your equator. And then you'll flip the ball over and you will do the same thing with the South Pole. Mark the halfway point in between the South Pole and each of the 6 marks on your equator. Okay, now you're going to need a drafting compass. Set it to the measurement between the North Pole and the halfway points that you drew. Then set your compass needle on one of those halfway points between the North Pole and the equator. Draw a half circle from the North Pole down to the equator. Then move to the next halfway point and do the same thing. Do that for every single halfway point until 6 semicircles are drawn. And you'll see right now, you'll see the swirls start to form. Then you're going to flip it over and you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Now this might look a little bit funny right now, but don't worry, we're going to fix the middle section on the equator to even those out. Of course, if you like this particular effect, the swirls on this are a little uneven and they look kind of funky. You could use that if you wanted to, but I want to make just a regular typical swirl ornament. So here, let me show you how to adjust the lines at the equator of the ball. Using your measuring tape as a straight edge, you'll draw a diagonal line between swirls from the north half of the ball to the south half of the ball. It's a little bit difficult to explain. I've used a red pen here to hopefully to demonstrate where those lines are, although with the quality of this video it may be difficult to see. I suggest if you don't get this, just rewind it and watch the section a couple of times and eventually you'll see it. Honestly, it took me a little bit of time to figure out where those lines are drawn to. I ended up staring at it for a while before I finally got it and it clicked. Anyway, so the next step you're going to do is you're going to start cutting your lines. Now today I'm going to use some darker color fabric, but if for whatever reason you've decided to use white or something similarly light in color, I would suggest that before you start cutting that you use liquid whiteout to white out that black extra swirl in the middle of your of the swirls that you actually want, because otherwise you're going to be able to see it through the fabric. Next, you'll go ahead and get your tucking tool and go ahead and run it through each of those cuts that you just made. Just widen the cut a little bit. It'll make it easier to tuck the fabric later. Okay, next we need to draw our patterns for our quilt batting, and the fabric. So get a piece of tracing paper and put it over the top of your ball where you can see one of those swirls through there. And just trace. It doesn't have to be exact. It's not going to be exact because obviously your ball is a round surface and your paper is flat, so it's going to be a little bit odd. But as best you can, trace that swirl pattern, and this will be your quilt batting pattern. Okay, so let me trace this in some markers so you can actually see it. This is our quilt batting pattern, cutting pattern. And now let's make our fabric cutting pattern. All you have to do is fold the piece of paper and then trace around about 1 centimeter out around the quilt batting pattern. And this will be your fabric pattern, fabric cutting pattern. Okay, then cut out both your fabric and your batting cutting patterns and write on them where the top and the bottom is. This will be important later for so your swirls line up properly, especially for your fabric cutting pattern. Then cut out 6 pieces of batting according to that cutting pattern. All right, this is the fabric I'm going to use for my ornament. Okay, now cut out 3 pieces of one of your colors or patterns, fabric, and cut out 3 pieces of the other. You want to make sure to do make sure the fabric, especially if you're using a motif like this, a floral or something, make sure that it's right side up so that your swirls match on the fabric. So make sure that the pattern's right side up and that fabric is right side up when you do the trace. Okay, so there's my flower fabric cutouts, and next is my hot pink fabric cutouts. All right, now get your favorite glue stick. Put some glue on a swirl section. This glue will dry clear, but I like the blue because it's easy to see where I'm gluing. Place your batting over the glue, then place your fabric. Then get your tucking tool. I use an upholstery needle, and tuck the fabric into the cuts on the foam ball. There will be excess fabric, and you can cut that off as you go to make it easier to tuck in, or you can just tuck it all in, depending on if you have enough space in there. I have a lot of practice at this. I know I make it look easy. I've also sped up the video a little bit. It's slower than this in real life, but for time's sake, I've sped it up. Anyway, this takes some practice, but try to get it nice and smooth so there's not a bunch of wrinkles. Move on to the next section when you're done with the pink or whatever color you're going to use, and use your next color. Do the same thing, and you're going to do that same thing all the way around the entire ball, alternating both of your colors. All right, so now you're done with that. You've got all your fabric on there. Now I'm going to put some cord trim in the seams. So this is really easy. You just scrape off some glue with your tucking tool, and then you just put it in the seams, and you place the cord on top of it, and you pat it down. And this is what it looks like when it's done. It's very easy. I've got a lot of videos showing this in much more detail, so go there if you're interested in seeing more of that. Next, I'm going to add a hanging ribbon, just a nice silver hanging ribbon. You can add a bow if you want to. I have another video tutorial on how to make a pretty bow, but I'm just going to do a hanging ribbon. I have a sequin there. It's kind of a cap, and a pearl-headed pin, and I'm going to put some glue on the end of that and stick it in the top. Then I'll turn it over and put a sequin and a pearl pin in the bottom just to finish it off. And there you have it. It's your finished ornament. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I've got a lot more video tutorials on my website, ornamentdesigns.com. So I hope to see you there. Take care. Bye-bye.